Hello, cheapskaters. I'm Kath Armstrong, creator of the Cheapskates Club, where our goal is to live life debt-free, cashed up and laughing. If this is your first time visiting our channel, we are really happy to meet you. And if it's not your first time, welcome back. I'm really glad you came to visit us. So, let me see. We've got 29 people watching, according to a little thing up there, so that's really good. A couple of housekeeping things. Live chat's enabled. To join live chat, you just need to be logged into your Gmail or YouTube account. That's a YouTube thing. It's not a Kath thing. I try to make it as easy as possible for you. And please, if this is your first time here, introduce yourselves. We're really, really friendly. Delaney is our moderator tonight, so be kind to her and give her an easy night so she doesn't have to do anything. And ask away. If you've got a question, put it in all capitals so that I can find it in the chat. It goes by really, really quickly. And so I tend to miss things if they don't stand out. So put it in all capitals and make it stand out for me, and I'll try and get to it. Now, let's give everyone time to get caught up because some clocks run a bit slow, and we'll see. Here's Barb. She's going to have an early night. Hope you enjoy it, Barb. Hello, Utah. Hi, Estelle. Did you get the car unloaded? Hello, Greg Evans. 4:30 in the US. Good on you, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us. And hello, Mary. Let me see. Hi, Beverly. And Michelle. Delaney, Kelly. Looking forward to what I've got in store for you tonight. You might not be. I'm a bit grumpy and grouchy tonight, so be warned. I might turn a bit snappy. Hello, Sylvia. Hello, Susan. Glad you're sneaking in for a look. Hope you decide to stay. We are really friendly. And you never know what's going to come out on a YouTube live with us. I'll tell him he's gone out. He's taken a box load. You can't quite see. I'm surrounded by trains, model trains, HO scale model trains and carriages and wagons. And if I could tip you down, I can't tip you down to show you that my desk has been taken over and there's little paints and stuff here because they've been working on them. This coming weekend is the annual AMRA open day at Glen Iris. So they're working like crazy and they've got a secondhand stall there. So they're moving some stuff out. Sadly, they're moving it out to make room to replace it, but never mind. At least they're rotating through their stock. I'll let him know. I gave him a tin of the Woolworths brand baked beans on Sunday to try. We'd not tried the Woolies brand before. They're $1.10 a tin. We'd not tried the Woolies brand before. And honestly, even I had a teaspoonful to try them, and they were quite nice. And I don't like baked beans, but they were quite nice. So I will tell him you had cold baked beans for dinner. He would honestly think that's a treat. Hello, Aradia. Hi, Jane. Hello, Mrs. Dillagaff. Hi, Annabelle. I've been thinking earlier today, Annabelle left a comment about a beautiful new handbag she made. So pop over to the Tuesday Afternoon Club and have a look at the beautiful, beautiful velvet handbag she made and how she likes to have a handbag that matches her hair color so that she feels it makes her feel well dressed and she's, coordinated. And I looked at my hair and I went, I don't know that I want a bag that color. I did have a giggle, Annabelle. It was a bit funny. Hello, Tegan. Oh, Jennifer, you've been waiting all day. Oh, my gosh, I hope I don't disappoint. Hello, Leonie. Hello, A Simply Good Life. Hi, Cheryl. Have you picked your cabbage yet? I'm waiting I want to see a photo. I want to see a photo of the cabbage. Hello, Cat Naps, Outback 6. Our electric bill went up too. When I looked at it, we haven't actually used any more power. It's just the cost. It's really difficult. And we're in the sort of caught between the rock and a hard place type of thing, where there's 3 of us working from home 5 days a week. So we chew through power. Hope there was nothing. You got the car unloaded. Hope there's nothing refrigerated or frozen in the watch. Be careful what you ask for, Annabelle. Hello, Catherine. Yes, Estelle. AMRA Open Day on Sunday. It's down at the showrooms at Glen Iris, which is opposite the Glen Iris train station, which is sort of just off High Street Road, and you go into Wills Street or onto the freeway, go into Wills Street. And it's a gold coin donation is all they're asking. So they've got the layouts will all be there. The Garden Railway is running. There will be the secondhand stall. There's a sausage sizzle that I think I'm supposed to be sizzling the sausages, but nobody wants these sausages I sizzle because they'll be burnt. So I'm not sure about that. But it's just a fun day. And for a gold coin donation, it's, raises a bit of money for the club. Planted lots of, what did you plant, Greg Evans? What did you plant? I put out capsicum today and tomato tomatoes. Move them off the back veranda into the garden. Yay! I know it's a bit early for my tomatoes. Don't usually start till later in the month, but they looked like they were ready to go. And we've got a few nice warm days coming up. So they'll have time to get established. So I'd love to know what you planted. Hello, Evelyn. Oh, Ashburton, it's really close. Yep, just down the road. Lettuce and cukes. Okay, so you did the capsicum and Tommy's too. Yep, lettuce and cukes. Cool. I'm trying to toss up about whether or not I'm going to put in more zucchini this year. I usually do 3 or 4, depending on the space by the time I plant everything out. I'm wondering, I don't know, I just have this feeling that if I could stretch it to 6, there'll be a lot more to preserve. So I'm not sure about that. I'm thinking, because we're going to have a hot summer. It's forecast to be a hot summer, a hot, dry summer. So that means we'll need to do lots of mulching and really keep the water up, especially to those types of plants. So I have to think about it and see what I can do, and we can get some zucchini into the dehydrator and into the freezer. Alrighty, we've got 7:39, so let's get started so I don't keep you for hours and hours again. Now, we're talking tonight about how to survive if you're financially sinking. And that's come about for a couple of reasons. I've been working with a couple of people who are drowning financially through, and really, I say through no fault of their own. And it really, everything they're doing is right. It's just that they overcommitted. But when they overcommitted, it wasn't an overcommitment. And of course, I've been watching all the things coming out of America, and I know they're going into winter over there, or the Northern Hemisphere is going into winter. So USA, there is so much going on. You've got the The governor of New Mexico has said First Amendment, Second Amendment, no longer exist in New Mexico. We'll just put them on hold. They don't exist for 30 days. That was interesting. And then there's all the issues with the bigger companies, bigger retail stores that are either closing completely or shutting down a good percentage of their outlets. And then there's Aldi taking over some of the smaller chains, smaller discount chains, and I've forgotten its name. Aldi's buying them up, or buying some of them up to get them out of a hard place. They'll still trade under that brand. They won't become Aldi stores, but I thought that was interesting too. There's a lot going on, a whole lot going on. And then talk of lockdowns over there and mask mandates and all sorts of things. So Target, Home Depot, Target was another one that I was reading about that aren't doing so great. So it's a bit crazy. And our form of government is very different. And as is our way of life and is our actual country structure in terms of government. You know, we've got our federal, we've got state, the tiers are very different. But it does affect us. It does affect us. And so it's been really interesting. All this has sort of made me think this looming sense of doom that one day it's there, the next day it's not, the next day it's back, the next day it's not. You know, I've never seen politicians do the 360, the about face so quickly. It's hilarious. So here we go. Kathy says, Rural King is a farm store, is cutting hours. Oh, I'm so sorry, Kathy. I know what that feels like. I know what that feels like. I'm so sorry. Might be able to come up with something that will give you at least an idea tonight anyway. So all this, plus then I've just gone, you know what? We are ruled by lunatics or fools or both. Foolish lunatics. I don't know. But we've got the thing where Australia's not in a recession, but the country, Australia, the country, the nation's not in a recession, but we are in a per capita recession, which means the GDP for our country, the gross domestic product for our country is fine, but the gross domestic product for individuals, you and me and your neighbour and your husband, is not fine. So I'm sort of like, seriously, guys, what are you trying to do? And I understand the economics of it. You know, I studied economics. I know you find it hard to believe some of the weird things I say, but, you know, a rose by any other name is still a rose. A recession by any other name is still a recession. So call it a per capita GDP, or call it a recession, or call it a national recession. A recession is a recession, whether it affects us individually or as a nation, because if it affects us individually, it affects us as a nation. And they will come up with a whole lot of different, well, you've got to do this, and there'll be this. And if you keep doing this investment where you can't do that because the per capita recession is because people have stopped spending and they're not investing, but really the nation is spending and investing. Well, you know what? 6 of one, half a dozen of the other people. A recession is a recession. So that had me really going, really, and then trying to help these two families at least find a way to stay above, or level with their debt has been really really bugging me. I'm sorry, it's just bugging me. These guys that just go, oh no, everything's la-di-da, hunky-dory, we'll be fine, are stupid. So that's why we're going to talk about how to survive when you're financially sinking, because we all need to. And, well, there's been talk of interest rate rises coming down, but Combank says from March next year, first quarter next year, they'll start coming down, and they'll come down 100 basis points, but they won't do it at once. They'll do it over 4. So they'll do it over 12 months because God forbid, they do anything to actually help Australian families put food on the table and keep the lights on. Please. I have to see that, Annabelle. So what we need to do is we need to get our finances in order. If we have debt, we need to keep paying that debt as quickly as we can. We need to not buy anything that's not necessary. And yes, online sales have tanked, and even in-store sales are, so people aren't spending on things that they were spending on during the crisis. But you know what? There was a lot of money being thrown at people during that time. That first couple of years, there was money being thrown at them left, right, and centre. That money's dried up. They had money to spend, and they were home because they couldn't go anywhere or do anything, so they spent money. Now, the smart people, which was a tiny percentage, actually used it to pay down their debt or invested it so that it will grow and give them more wealth. Most of the people, over 90% of them, just spent it. It just went, disappeared, poof, and it was gone on stuff that is actually worthless. You could go and buy beautiful papers, because that's one of my downfalls, is beautiful papers. But once I've brought it home, it's worthless. The value in it is only what I see. There is no actual value in it. Or what else? Anything like that. What have I got lying here? Nothing. I can pick up a train. Oh, here you go, a train. Oops, I don't want to break it. I'll be in trouble. So we've got I don't know what this is, so I better be careful. But, buy a train. Now, that's not a toy. I get in trouble for calling them toys. But the value is only perceived value. It's only worth what someone is prepared to pay for it now. So if someone's not prepared to pay anything for it, then it is, in effect, worthless, if that makes sense. People spent all that money that was thrown at them. Some of them, I know some of you used it to stock your pantries. Well done. But most Australians just blew it. They just went, got money, let's go on a spending spree. Much the same as they did during the GFC. They got that money and went, let's go buy a new TV, or let's go, on a holiday or whatever, and it was gone. And while that sort of spending temporarily stimulates the economy, we don't want temporary stimulation. We want it to be continual and to grow. So it's not a good way to be. Well done, Kathy. Paid off their house. Big achievement. Well done. And filled your pantry. Yep. That is so good. There are lots of people living in tents and cars. I was actually quite shocked Wayne and I were in Wagga not so long ago, and around the bridge, around Hampton Bridge, there's the river flats, and the number of people that were just living there in tents or a couple of caravans, but only a couple in tents. Some of them didn't even have tents. They'd just literally made humpies and were living there. And because they were homeless, there was nowhere for them to rent. And if there was, they couldn't afford the rents. The council, while we were there was a lot of noise coming from the council about moving them on. They're an eyesore. Well, those poor people aren't an eyesore. They need help. So we know, we lived in Wagga for years and years and years and never saw anything like that. It is devastating. The other day, Hannah and I were out and we noticed a couple of kids in a bus stop, in sleeping bags, fast asleep in a bus stop with their backpacks under the seat. We live in the eastern suburbs of Melbourne. We don't live, this isn't a poor area, and I'm not saying that boastfully or anything. This isn't a poor area. We should not have homeless, especially homeless kids in our area. So now I've lost my... Yep. We were away, it would be 9 years ago. We were away. We were actually on the south coast of New South Wales at Yarwell, and there was a family living there. Really lovely family. Mum, dad, 4 kids, and granddad. And they were set up. They had tents all set up, and they were there because they couldn't find anywhere to rent that they could afford. Now, every day they got up, they got dressed, kids went to school, mum and dad went to work, granddad putted around, did whatever he did, but they had been there for 6 months. Now, the rangers knew they were there and just left them alone because they knew there was nowhere else for them to go, and they weren't a nuisance. But it's really tough. Homelessness is really tough, and that's something, it used to terrify me. It used to be something really worry me, that it could happen, because it can happen so quickly. Anyway, that's not what we're talking about, is it? Talking about how to survive. Having been in the position of suddenly having no income, I can tell you that the first thing you have to do is stop spending on everything, including food. You use what you have. That's one reason why I insist on keeping our pantry stocked, so that if we are ever in that situation again, we can at least eat. Keep food in your pantry. Keep your pantry stocked. And that's not being greedy. It's not being alarmist. It's not being a hoarder. What else have I heard it called the last week or so? Foolish. It's not a waste of money. If you stock what you eat and then eat it and replace it as you use it, it will always stay stocked, and you will always have that buffer. It can be as however long you need it to be. If you want to last a week or 2 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 20 years, you stock it that full. And as long as you are doing that and using it, because it's not there to look pretty, it's there to be used, then you've got a buffer. And that means that when finances get really tight, you can at least stop spending on groceries and know that you can eat, that you can feed your children. The other thing that's really important is to, and I mentioned this on a Facebook group earlier this week, know what a need is and what a want is. Know the difference between a need and a want. Now, I might really want my tea, but I don't need it. I have enough stocked up that I won't go without for a while, but it's not a need, whereas chicken or beef or tuna or pasta or wheat bix, they're needs because they can be used to feed me. Does that make sense? I hope it does, because it's really important that you know what a need is and what a want is, because often on our shopping list, we'll have things that aren't needs. We think they are. I need my cup of tea. I just got to have that cup of tea or that cup of coffee. But it's not really a need. It's a want. Yeah, Annabelle, that's terrible. Hello, Yvonne. Hello, Onto It, Aussie. Annabelle says she's seeing people renting out shearers' quarters by the room, renting out caravans. Yep. I've never seen it before. We lived in a shearing shed for a while. It was actually quite fun, but that was from choice, not need. Okay. The other thing we need to do, if you're sinking financially, is ditch the unimportant stuff. Again, that helps with the difference between a need and a want. Ditch the unimportant stuff. Just stop it. No more. It doesn't exist anymore as far as you're concerned, so that you've got cash to pay for what is important, and that's a roof over your head, food on the table, medications, utilities, and with your, not so much your electricity and your gas and your water, but with your phone, your internet, basic plans. Basic plans do the job. Drop them down. If you are on the top plan, drop it down. You don't need it. When you are struggling financially, you do not need that extra cost. Transport. Depending on where you live, transport is a biggie. And again, vehicle just has to be roadworthy, safe, able to get you mechanically sound, able to get you from point A to point B. It doesn't have to be brand new. It doesn't even have to be 5 years old. It doesn't have to look pretty, and it doesn't have to have all the latest whiz-bang gadgets. It just needs to have 4 wheels, seat belts and motor that can get you from home to wherever you need to go safely. This is a temporary thing. This setback, this financial setback, we're going through it. It's temporary. It's not going to last forever. So we don't need to be precious about, lost my notes, whether things are new, whether we're meeting friends for coffee, or whether we're able to go out for dinner for our anniversary, or, whether the birthday party for the children's going to be in the backyard or at the local play centre. When you're struggling financially, when you are sinking, when your outgoings are more than your incomings, those things aren't important. They go. They have to go. It means cutting back. No one likes to cut back. I don't like cutting back. I didn't like it 29 years ago. I wouldn't like it today. But it means cutting back. And that can mean hard work, You've got to put the effort in to shop around. You've got to put the effort in to cook more from scratch, really from scratch, not pack it from scratch. If that means you have to learn how to do things, internet's at your fingertips. Great YouTube videos that will show you how to do things. So you learn how to preserve the food that you've got so that it will last, instead of forgetting about it and letting it go off at the back of the fridge and then having to toss it. You learn how to grow food. You don't need to spend hundreds of dollars to grow food. I had a cheapskater a while back tell me that she'd spent nearly $800 to do their vegetable garden, and all they got out of it was a half a dozen tomatoes. Well, hello? Why? Why would you do it? If you don't have the money, don't do it. Even if you do have the money, don't do it. That's a ridiculous price. You just need some soil. A container will do. Ice cream containers, coffee tins with holes in the bottom, green bags, the green cloth shopping bags, not the plastic ones, but the cloth ones that we used to have. They work really well for growing things. You don't have to spend a lot of money to grow your own food. And even coming into summer, so you plant some lettuce, some spring onions, tomato tomatoes or cherry tomatoes, and I say those because they're prolific. They're like weeds. They just grow like weeds. And you've got your salad or your basic salad veg, so you don't need to spend $2 on a lettuce or $4.50 on a lettuce. And lettuce are one of those, we call lettuce pick and come again, because as they start to form up, you can pick the outside leaves off and they will just keep growing. And if you keep doing that, they will last for ages. Be practical. Be practical with what you do and use what you have. Make do. If you need something, make do. Mend. Reuse something until it falls apart. Now, baking paper, for example. Now, it's not overly expensive, but I reuse the baking paper until it crumbles, until it literally crumbles when I touch it. And then I wash and reuse the sandwich bags. So I buy a box of 100 sandwich bags. That will last easily a year. Wayne uses 4 each day in his lunch. Brings them home, they get turned inside out, they get washed, put over glasses to dry, they get reused until they fall apart. That's not being mean. It is not being mean. I know that lots of people think it is, that it's just stingy, that that it's they have the attitude that it's poor. You're just being poor. I'd rather think that I'm being smart, wise, good steward with our money, not wasting money. It's sensible. It is sensible. We all work too hard for what we have and what we get to waste it, even on something like sandwich bags. I have Silpat mats too, Tegan, but I've only got 3 and I have 6 trays. So when I'm baking, I fill the oven. I use baking paper for those. They're really good. Hannah did buy from Kmart. You can get cake tin liners that are silicone, not really silicone, they're almost like those barbecue sheets that you buy to put on electric barbecues in the park, like that. But they didn't work very well. Thankfully, they were cheap. They didn't work very well. But the Silpats, brilliant. And if I could get more of them, I would. But don't waste anything. Tip the tomato sauce bottle upside down to drain it. Put some water in the Vegemite jar and shake it up and pour it into the gravy. Don't waste anything. You've already paid for those things, so don't waste them. Don't throw that money in the bin. And that might sound like I'm on a broken record, and I probably am because I say it over and over. But all those little things might only save you 2 cents here or a cent there, 5 cents over there. But over the course of a day, a week, a month, a year, it adds up to quite a lot of money. And in some cases, some of the calculations I did, it can actually equal a month's grocery budget. Just for little things, saving on little things like that. And I don't know about you, but I can't afford to throw a month's grocery budget in the bin. I just can't. And even if I could, I wouldn't work too hard for that money. Thank you very much. I'm going to just toss it away. So if we're sinking financially, we really do have to look at the pennies and watch those pennies and make sure that we use them wisely. A lot of people will say it's not worth, the little savings aren't worth it. You're better to go for the big savings. The big savings are one-offs. And while, yes, we should go for those big savings too, they're one-off. It's a one-off. Once it's done, once you've got it, you've got it. Those little savings, you repeat over and over and over and over. And lots of little savings add up to one big saving by the end of the year. It is worth doing. The other thing is, foil. I wipe the foil over. I fold it. When I put it on a tray, it's carefully tucked under, not scrunched. Lift it off, clean it, let it dry, fold it carefully. Don't scrunch it so it can be reused. And again, it gets reused until it falls apart. A lady I was listening to today was buying water. And I thought, well, that's really smart. But you know what? Tap water is just as good and cheaper, way cheaper than buying water. So here's tap water. Save your milk bottles. Save your juice bottles. I'm saving vinegar bottles at the moment, and we won't be drinking the water out of it because I still can't get that vinegar taste out of it. But it will be handy for the washing machine if we need it, or to flush a toilet, for cleaning. It'll be fine. It'll be great for cleaning. It's already got the vinegar in it. So we are doing that. It takes less than a minute to fill it, put the lid on it, and put it under. We're keeping them under the back veranda where it's reasonably cool and dark. So if you want water, do that. Don't buy it. The other thing is mend things. Get a tube of Gorilla Glue and a roll of 100-mile-an-hour tape and use them to repair things. You can glue soles back on runners, fix a split in a fly screen. Hannah's gumboots have a tear in them, so we've Gorilla Glued a patch to them. Good as new. Absolutely good as new. You might think that it's about $6 a tube, or it was last time I bought it, but it's really good stuff. 100-mile-an-hour tape, oh my goodness, it fixes all sorts of things. We've used it when we've been camping to fix camp chairs that have fallen apart, so we've taped them up. We've taped handles back onto shovel, the handle part back onto the shovel handle pole stick thing. It's really good stuff. So many uses for that. So instead of throwing out the runners, or in Hannah's case, the gumboots, we fixed them. They're going strong. She's wearing them. They're really, really perfect condition. The patch even looks quite nice. I did a good neat job. It works. It works. When you don't have money to spare and something breaks, you need to figure out a way to either repair it or find something you have that does the same job, because you don't have the money to buy a new one. Now, I've got to shut some windows here. I've got so many. patch it from the inside, Estelle. It's going to be fiddly. So if that's the sole and the seam there, on the inside, you want to run a very fine line of glue and push it into place so it looks good, and then you'll put a patch on the inside. And if you can get a leather patch, that would be good, but it doesn't necessarily have to be leather, but something quite strong, and that will I was just reading Jane's comment about coffee. That will hold them for a while, and you can just keep doing that until they fall apart. Honey is a brilliant wound dressing. Honey is, and well done. Well done. Hope it wasn't too painful. I burnt my hand the other day. Yeah, try the leather patch, Estelle, and it sounds fiddly, and you're working from the inside of the shoe. You'll need probably something to. I have a bone folder. Where is it? It's gone. Even something like that, a palette knife or something like that, that you can. Do it. Something like that. Something that you can use to push it into place and press it so that it sticks properly. Yeah. All right, now let me get back over here. Lost my notes again. Yeah, so look, if you're facing a personal recession, and we've touched on Australia not being in recession, but we are in a per capita recession. I like that. But I say, call it what you will, Mr. Treasurer, and your economist pals, but, going backwards is going backwards. Whether we go backwards officially together or individually, we're still going backwards. It's all smoke and mirrors, all smoke and mirrors. So we need to be smart about what we're doing. And we've touched on stopping spending, becoming more self-sufficient, growing our own food. We're going to get smart with cooking. We're not going to eat out. We're going to be real. You're going to sort of turn into a Scrooge McDuck. There you go. You're going to turn into a real cheapskate. You are going to put the capital F in frugal. It's only for a short time. It's not forever. It's just until you get back on top of your finances. So you can do just about anything for a short time. But the only thing you can't do is hold your breath. So, even if you get thrown in the deep end of a pool, you can float. So you can do just about anything for a short time. It's just thinking, changing our mindset so that it's our goal instead of the, hey, what am I going to do? Poor me, I'm going to fall in the corner, go in the corner and fall in the heap and suck my thumb. We don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to get back on top. And speaking from experience, it is so easy to go, I can't do this. This is too hard. What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. But by all means, have your pity party. But it's one day. And then you're back on track, and you're working towards your goals. If it means you've got to take on a part-time job, then that's what you've got to do. If it means you've got to sell things, that's what you've got to do. If it means that for a little while. The kids can't, do sport and music and art, then they've got to pick one. If it means that, you don't have fancy dinners and things, then that's what you do. You do what you have to do, but you do it knowing that it's for a purpose, that you're actually gaining ground and getting ahead. Now, at first, you might think you're going backwards, but you will gain ground and you will get ahead. You just have to keep at it. And I think that is something that lots of people don't do. They give up too soon. Just stick with it. Well, if your mortgage is a 25-year mortgage, you are quite happy to take it out and know that you have to make that payment for 25 years. Well, if you sit down and work out how long it's going to take you to get back on top of your finances, and it's 6 months or 9 months or 14 months, that's nothing compared to the 25 years you committed to with a mortgage. So get over it. Just get over it. You can do it. If it means you don't get to go to Bali for a holiday, you don't get to go to Bali for a holiday. If it means that you don't, if you don't have Christmas presents, you don't have Christmas presents. There will be more Christmases. You just have to change the way you think and actually put the effort in. Because you can make all the grand plans you like. You can get fancy notebooks and you can draw up charts and you can have Excel sheets and all sorts of things. If you don't work it, it's pointless. So you need to just do it. There you go. Just do it. Yeah, save like Nana did. Where's Annabelle? We just do it. We have come from a time of plenty, of more than plenty, of abundance, of excess, where our lives that we live today, gosh, my grandparents would think that we were the wealthiest people in the world. We're not. But compared to what they had, we are very well off. So it is a mind game. And we are being played. We are being played in the media all day, every day. We are being played. Good point, Jane. We are being played because the news one day is brilliant, and the economy, inflation is under control, and there's talk of interest rates coming down, and unemployment. Well, we don't have unemployment. We've got plenty of jobs. We have no workers. And then the next day, interest rates are crippling people, and unemployment's rising, and inflation is whatever it is, and it's going to go up before the end of the year. So we are being played. We are being played. All this news is messing with our minds. We don't know where we are. So tune it out. Focus on your personal economy. Look after your economy, and you won't be in a recession. And if you are, it won't last long. You'll get out of it. Jane says, don't be too proud if money is super tight. Go and visit food banks if you need to. Some offer boxes for a cost. These are for anyone in the community. And Estelle says, and this is a good one too, Estelle says, if you're out of work, volunteer. That is good for a couple of things. It's good for your self-esteem. It's a good social outlet for you, but it looks really good on your CV. And you go to apply for a job and you've volunteered and you've done this. And quite often, not all the time, but quite often, that one little thing makes you stand out from the other applicants. And depending on the type of work you're applying for, it stands you in good stead. Well, you know what? You can't have debt. You can't have debt. No, they do. MSN, yep. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think I said to you, I've stopped. I've cut right back because it was just, well, it was taking too much time. Taking too much time, and I've only got 24 hours in a day. It was taking too much time, but it was just even me. It was just getting to me. And I can listen to it and go, oh my goodness, you are such a wally. Or what universe do you live in? And I can sort of turn it off. But now we don't. I put the news on about 10 to 7, usually, to get the weather, and then it goes off. So there. So yeah, if you're finding that the news, YouTube, Facebook, all those things, anything like that, social media, Twitter, whatever, is getting to you and is depressing you, turn it off. Do not just go cold turkey. Turn it off. It is not worth. It's not worth your health, your physical and your mental health. It's just not worth it. So turn it off. Here we go. Simply Good Life says, get creative. Woohoo! 5 jars of onion jam. Wow. $7 a jar. Doesn't sound like much. Sounds pretty good to me. $35. That's a half a week's grocery budget. Doesn't sound like much, but it covered my costs. So the rest of the onion jam that you have in your pantry is free. Yes. Exactly. It's great. Yep. Old milk bottles. Pebble M. Old milk bottles to keep in the garden to water plants. Yep. My husband drinks Coke. Ugh, I don't. And he buys it himself from his mad money, so it doesn't affect our budget before anyone jumps on me. But I save the bottles and tip them upside down next to mostly my fruit trees in the summer, just so they get that drip, 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 which works really, really well. Here you go. Annabelle's got an idea. If anyone's on the point of homelessness, consider being a caretaker, house sitting, or a farm job, as many come with a house. And they all give you a chance to save while being housed, having a roof over your head. That's a very good thing, Annabelle. The other thing is, if you move, be prepared to move. I know it's not a popular concept. We moved. We could not get work. We packed up and we moved. We left our life and we moved because we tried and there was no work for either of us. And we were getting further and further behind. So we moved. It's not a popular thought. People don't lie. Oh, no, I couldn't take the kids out of school. Well, you know what? We did. Did it hurt them? No. We were together. We were all together. We were able to stay together, and we were able to. It took us a long time to reestablish. It always does, but we moved. Be prepared to move. Go where the work is. If you can't get work, or you can't get a home, you have a job and you can't get a home in your area, move. Or if you have a job and it's impractical to move out of that area, look at boarding. Become a boarder. I know I often see ads pop up for boarders, just a room to rent. And, it's a room. You might have a bathroom. You share bathroom. You share the kitchen and living areas. If that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. You do what you have to do. It's only for that short time, guys. It's not forever. It's only for that short time. Yeah. Moving as a family is if you can, that's the way to do it. Moving separately is terrible. My husband's grandparents, my husband's great-grandparents, his great-granddad came to Australia first with the eldest son and left his great-grandma and the other children in England. They were separated for 5 years because it took him 5 years to be able to save up enough to bring them all out to Australia and put the deposit down on their land so they could have a house. They were separated for 5 years. That would be really, really tough. Really, really tough. We have people doing that now, though, still in 2023. There are still people doing that. We have South African friends, similar thing. He came to Australia first. They came about 18 months later. So, all right, now, got to go back to my notes, guys. Okay, all right. So my last line here is, told you I was grumpy today. If your finances are sinking, you just don't have money to be spending willy-nilly on new things. You don't have money to be spending willy-nilly on fancy food or, fancy phones or phone plans or whatever. So make the choice. You're either going to sink or you're going to swim. The choice is up to you. Personally, I'd rather swim. It's hard work. It is hard work. I won't say it's not. It is hard work. It is exhausting. And it can be stressful for a little while. But you've got that goal. You've got that goal to reach. And you know that it is not forever. So if you really want to, you can do it. You do whatever you have to do. If that means taking the children out of private school and putting them in public school, that's what you do. If that means, and there is nothing wrong with that, if that means that, you colour your own hair, that's what you do. If that means you let your hair grow long because you can't get your daughter, the hairdresser, to stay here long enough to cut it, that's what you have to do. You can't afford to go to the hairdresser, you don't go. You do what you have to do. Simple. It's as simple as that. You just do what you have to do. Okay. Now, let me flick back over. Yeah. There you go. Tegan. We live a FIFO life, fly in, fly out. For those that don't know, we hate it, but the mortgage needs to be paid. It's not fun. It's not fun. But, the mortgage needs to be paid. And, again, it can be a temporary thing because once the mortgage is paid, perhaps the work circumstances can change too. Alrighty, I think I'll let you go. Thank you to everyone who watched the pantry tour last week. Thank you, and thank you for your nice comments. I'll let you know it's changed already. I've added more things to it. I've rearranged things again. So it's even more different to what you saw. Pantry is always evolving, constantly evolving. It's not a static thing. Pebble M moved 3 times interstate to re-establish. You do what you have to do. You might not want to, but you do what you have to do. I will say, guys, the shortages are, I went on Sunday with my shopping list, and I was gobsmacked. I went to Woolworths to give Woolworths a try. So I was able to get 11 tins of tomato soup. Would have been 12 because that's all there was, but one was dented, and I won't buy a dented can. I'll talk about that in a minute. I could only get 7 tins of beetroot. That's all they had, 7 tins of beetroot. Big space for the beetroot, but only 7 tins. I was able to get 12 tins of pineapple, but that's all they had. I took the whole tray. I got 12 tins of baked beans, but that was all they had. I cleared the shelf. I am not ashamed of clearing the shelf. I needed it, and it was there, and I had the money to pay for it, and nobody else was around me buying it, so I cleared the shelf. Shortages, yeah, Aldi. I haven't been into Aldi for a while. Back to cheese. No cheese. No block cheese. Hard block cheese. What is it? Tasty. What else was short? That might have been all, because I didn't have a lot on the list. But it was concerning. It was actually concerning that there were so many blank spots. Tegan, you name it. Shortages. It's the lack of tin, lack of cans, or the lack of it can be the still getting over the floods and the lack of actual produce that was destroyed in the floods. We've got to wait for the new crops to come in. All sorts of things. Lack of workers. You name it. There's all sorts of reasons for the shortages at the moment. And considering that it shouldn't be. Now, an interesting thing, Annabelle and I were talking about it last night. Cans. We were talking, I think Tegan and I were talking last week about the dented cans and how they're everywhere. Well, it's not just you and me. Apparently, it's a real issue in the USA too. And they were talking about it. Their solution was, or their answer was, that the quality of the metal used to make the cans has, since 2011, it has changed. So it's about 20% weaker than what it was. So the cans are softer, which means it doesn't take as much to dent them. So that was one reason that they came up with. I don't know whether that's why. Dented cans nearly drive me insane. I've only noticed it probably I'd say 12, maybe not even 12 months. But it is really annoying me. You pick up a tin and it's dented. Why? Is there someone sitting in the tin factory going bang, 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 and putting dents in them? I don't know. But it's really, really annoying. Yeah, no tin, no vinegar, bad harvest, no workers, rising prices, bad weather overseas, bad weather here. You name it. There's gazillion excuses for shortages, but they are real. Anyone that tells you they are not real is living in la la land, guys, because they are real. Thank you, Annabelle. That's very kind of you. I'm working on the fridge and freezers for you. Working on the fridge and freezer tours. I was a bit nerve-wracking because the freezers, folks, the freezers. Alrighty. Thank you for sticking with me so far. I'll let you all go. It's 8:35, so we're well over an hour. If you enjoyed tonight's video, if you could give me a thumbs up, I would really, really appreciate it. If you're not already subscribed to our channel, hit the subscribe button and the little bell so that we can notify you when we go live, when we upload new videos. I've got a world of them, I've got heaps of them to do, but the editing is slowing me down, and my hands haven't been real good lately, so the fine motor skills required for editing and controlling mouse is not there this week, so I'm working on it. Oh wow, okay. Just pop this in, guys. Here we go. Joe is in Aldi today. Check all use by dates. Pick through dates that run out next month to January next year and October next year for baked beans. Wow. Yeah, I have noticed a lot of things are on short dates. I'm not sure why that is. I'm wondering if perhaps I noticed it particularly with dairy, with cheese, the hard cheeses, block cheeses, especially. But I don't know why the dates are all of a sudden shorter than what they usually are either. Anyway, and if you know anyone who might like, back to saying goodbye, if you know anyone who might like the video, hit the share button, send it to them. They can watch it at their leisure. We don't harass them. All it does is send them a link. Because if you like us, subscribe and share, it helps our channel with YouTube, and it boosts us, makes us easier to find. And of course, if we're easier to find, it's easier for us to let everyone know that it is perfectly okay and absolutely doable to live life debt-free, cashed up and laughing, even in today's crazy, mixed up, who knows what's going to happen tomorrow world. Okay. I will see you all live next week. But until then, have a great weekend, everyone. And if you're in Melbourne, don't forget the AMRA Open Day on Sunday. See you all later.